Subterranean Terror by White Bat Audio. You can find them on whitebataudio.com. What's everybody? Whatever. I'm Bish O'Brien here with my co-host with the most. Here with my co-host with the most, Mr. Benny Slash. What's up, Benny?
What's going on, man?
Not enough, apparently. But very special night. We're trying out a new concept just in time for Halloween for the season of what is it, Fear Fest now on AMC? Is that what they call it?
I think so.
Okay. But a new concept. It's called Horror Reanimated. So basically what we're doing is we're going to be talking about fan fiction stories. We're going to be talking about discarded script ideas that never made the light of day. We're talking about films that were pitched that were not greenlit, things that were changed. So like all of this what if stuff that surrounds these films and franchises that we love. We're talking about them. We're also going to probably freestyle some ideas between he and I, just original ideas concerning these established ideas, these franchises, and also some other weird things like taking, what was the idea? Like a Saturday morning cartoon and reworking it as a horror version?
Yeah.
I think that was on there. Or like the movie Hook. Do the movie Hook as a horror movie. You know, shit like that.
Something they just did on Sci-Fi, by the way, with the Banana Splits. You
know what? That looked kind of bonkers. I didn't watch it, but it was on.
I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
It does. It looks... Visually, it looks very interesting.
Well, I don't know if you ever did, but man, reruns of the Banana Splits on Cartoon Network were my thing.
See, so, I never watched the Banana Splits. I watched lots of Hanna-Barbera stuff, but not the Banana Splits. Do you remember? I mean, I don't think they'd be able to get rid of it or get away with it now, but The Amazing Chan and the Chan Clan.
I don't remember that one.
Okay. There was a bunch of obscure like 60s ones they did reruns of in the 90s that I remember. But either way, just taking even some innocuous benign ideas like the Banana Splits horror thing and doing a film like I know there was a trailer a while back about Mrs. Doubtfire and they redid the trailer so that it looked like a horror movie. So even stuff
like that. They did that
with
Mary Poppins too.
Oh, they did. That's right. There's a bunch of them. So in that vein, taking either movie ideas that were discarded, sequels that were never made, original concepts for movies that hit the cutting room floor, or even weird off-the-wall gonzo bonkers ideas like that Mr. Benny Slash and I want to kick around. And I just took a step back. I wanted to start talking about stuff that I enjoy, and I figured this was a way for us to have fun with this and to do a different type of horror podcast, because every horror podcast I listen to, great as they are, every horror podcast I listen to talks about the same shit. It's always, we're going to review this movie, and we go through and find the stuff we like, and we go through and find the stuff we didn't like, and we laugh about this and laugh about that. So this, I figured, maybe, hopefully, is a different flavor, and hopefully it's not so different that we can't figure it out. So, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we're looking at what kinds of things would happen if Ash Williams and Jason Voorhees kind of decided to start trying to kill each other.
Yes, and some of you out there, comic fans, horror fans, may tell us, hey, but they already did.
They did Jason versus Ash versus Freddy in the comics. As I adjust my glasses here.
Yes, they did. They did. And as Mr. Positive, there's another nod to the past.
I noticed you keep trying to go there.
That's a nod to the past. But
it's hilarious.
You and I have been talking kind of pre-gaming this about, yes, they did Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. That comic and its sequel, Nightmare Warriors, which is a play on Dream Warriors, were sequels to Freddy versus Jason. And when I was thinking about ideas for the show, and me and Benny were kicking them around, I just kind of thought, like, to me, Freddy just complicated things. If you're going to go Ash versus Jason, just do that. Or do, and another time we could talk about Ash versus Freddy, which I think could be really fun. And I think the difference would be, when I think about as weird and as strange as Jason Voorhees is, I think of them in terms of two different styles. One, Jason versus Ash would be more of like a beat 'em up action movie with some cosmic stuff thrown in, whereas Ash versus Freddy would be like very based on cosmic, interdimensional, demonic type stuff. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So, for those of you who may know, there were some intentional inclusions of things from the Evil Dead franchise in Jason Goes to Hell, which linked the franchises by the writer and director Adam Marcus. Importantly, the Kandarian dagger and the Necronomicon.
Absolutely. The Necronomicon being the Book of the Dead used in all 4 Evil Dead movies to bring deadites to life to start wreaking havoc on a cabin in the woods.
And now I don't want to keep going off the rails here, but that's another idea me and me and Betty Slash talked about. I'm not going to be able to stop doing that without like a note card in front of me or something. But we were talking about doing Evil Dead 2, which would be Evil Dead 5.
I was trying to figure out why, when you gave me the list of topics, I had Evil Dead 2 and 2/5. I'm like,
okay,
what?
So let's
Evil Dead 2.4.
Let's start here. So the Evil Dead series starts with Ash Williams, and he goes out to the cabin in the woods. And in the first one, does he read the incantation, or is it on like a tape reel-to-reel tape player?
I believe it's on a reel-to-reel.
That makes sense.
I believe it's also that way in the Mia version.
Okay, and I think it's the same way in the second version. Okay, so this is why it's confusing. You've got Evil Dead, incantation on a tape player, the Deadites come possessed with the spirit of evil. And then part 2, after Ash survives, is pretty much it's a sequel and a reboot or remake of the original Evil Dead. So Evil Dead 2 is Evil Dead also.
Yes, I never understood this.
Okay, so then Evil Dead...
I believe Bruce Campbell calls it a requel.
That's right. And then Evil Dead 3 isn't even Evil Dead 3.
Army of Darkness.
It's Army of Darkness. Then Evil Dead 4 is...
Just called Evil Dead.
Just Evil Dead.
Again.
And there's no Ash.
No.
Okay. So then the sequel to that Evil Dead would be Evil Dead 2. But
In theory.
Evil Dead 2, because it's the second Evil Dead 2. What a mess. But anyway, so throughout the series, the Necronomicon was the central hub of all the demonic possession and the evil being released into the world. Also, a central part of Jason Goes to Hell. So, obviously, I think you got to start there. I'm trying to figure out how these two worlds would fit together.
Well, the best the idea that I had earlier, as we were talking about this, is what you can do it in the way that they started the successful, depending on who you talk to, Star's original show, Ash vs. the Evil Dead.
Oh, what a great show. What a shame.
Wasn't it? So, being that the book is involved in all of this, you can have Ash get a phone call. Hey, we have a problem. You know how to do these problems. Come to Camp Crystal Lake and save us. And you go from there.
So you would have Jason already, like, would it be like the people around Camp Crystal Lake know that there's an issue there and Jason's not active, or Jason's like hacking shit up and they're like, hey, get here, we need you now?
I mean, it could be both. It could be, we don't know that if he's active or not. We just know they know the stories from over there. They know that people are disappearing, and it could be him again. And while there's no concrete proof yet, about these Deadite things with the book. Please help us.
And what's interesting is the only time they ever did this was part 5, and it was like intentional copycat killer. Why has no one in the Crystal Lake area become a serial killer and just blamed it all on Jason?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
So you could have that, like he goes to check it out and it's not really anything cosmic going on, but then Ash does Ash things, like, you know, because I was thinking about, like, in Ash vs. Evil Dead, the way he releases the Evil Dead back into the world is he's smoking pot with some piece of ass, and they start going they start going through the book and reading the shit out loud. They're high. So, you know, maybe Ash does Ash things and winds up making a bonehead move, because that's kind of an Ash staple, is to do something stupid and get himself into trouble.
He tends to be good at that.
So, yeah, like
forgetting the last word of the thing you need to take the book without killing us all, and
the incantation that was taught to him by Mr. Pitt.
Yes.
You ever notice that?
Mr. Pitt. Yes, absolutely.
Oh man, I wonder what kind of socks he wore. Anyway, like one thing, you know, one idea I always was thinking of about Crystal Lake, and maybe it's because I'm business minded and I'm surrounded by corporate greed all the time, is do you remember The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd?
I love that movie.
Remember the scene where I was just talking about that this weekend? They're sitting on the porch, and he's trying to, like, kind of show the difference between his business acumen and John Candy. He's like, "What do you see?" He's like, "I see trees and a lake." And Aykroyd's like, "I'll tell you what I see. I see an undeveloped, undermined, blah, 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 blah. I see condominiums, and I see a hospital. I see a toxic waste dump, and I see a volatile chemicals plant." And it's like, I could just imagine, and I think they kind of toyed with it in Freddy vs. Jason, like some big hotshot real estate developer coming in and trying to make Crystal Lake a resort or something like that. And like,
absolutely.
Like them calling Ash and calling him in and being like, "All right, you need to come take care of this because we need to." And I don't know, maybe that doesn't fit, but
no, I think it, because what I think ends up happening then is you have Bruce Campbell finding out that they're gonna make billions off of this, and they're giving him like $10,000, and he get all mad and sabotage it.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think of that. Oh, and he could thumb through the book. Like maybe they call him in, because you know what? Like, and this could kind of be a riff on some of the Hollywood reboots. There's a lot of reboots where they hire the original writers and hire them as executive producers, and they don't have anything to do with the movie, but it's just like to have the stamp of approval.
Right.
So maybe they bring in Ash so they can go, "Hey, we brought in renowned demon hunter." I'm sorry, I'm holding up the card like the UFC girls, you know. Like dudes at a press conference. "Look, we held Ash Williams is here. He's a renowned demon hunter, and why, he's come here to Crystal Lake and he sees there's nothing wrong. Everything's fine. Folks, you can bring us your money in your bushel baskets and we'll get these condominiums built for you." And you're right, and Ash could kind of get pissed and kind of thumb through. Oh, you know what? I usually have I got to get a slipcover for this that looks like the Necronomicon. Ash could flip through his Necronomicon, and he could start reading an incantation, and like Ash does, like you mentioned, get something innocuous and simple, and it releases the undead Jason Voorhees from the bottom of the lake.
You know, that just might work.
That's actually not too bad. And, you know, it's funny that the contrast between the two is obviously Jason's silent killer, but he's often credited for being simple-minded because of his mental afflictions. Whereas I think Ash would, like, needle him. "Hey, come on, you big dummy," you know, and stuff like that. That's probably the world's worst Ash impression, by the way.
Probably.
But I can see Ash, you know, having some fun with that. Like, "Come here, dummy," and then, you know, maybe if there's a supporting character, like, "Dude, that's not right. You know, Ash, you know, he's slow or whatever." You know, I don't know. Like, remember, who was it who just got in trouble? Norm Macdonald?
What was that?
Norm Macdonald, didn't he just get in trouble because he was going to make a joke and say the word retarded? And in the moment, instead of retarded, he just drew a blank and said Down syndrome because he was trying to lessen the blow. But he's like, yeah.
This is news to me.
This is about a year ago. He was like, yeah, these people. Oh, you'd have to have Down syndrome to think that. Because, like, you know what I mean? He realized he was about to screw up. And he tried to lessen the blow, but he, like, made it even more offensive because he wasn't just challenging dumb people. He was actually using someone with Down syndrome. So, like, I can imagine that, like Ash making Ash jokes at Jason's expense. People are like, dude, you know he's...
Well, and it's even better because if you use the support character to almost be... And I love that we're using other completely unrelated random movies to make this whole idea work in our heads.
Hey, this is our concept. We got to make it work somehow.
It becomes Tommy Boy. And the side person is the David Spade to the Chris Farley Ash.
Oh my God, that works.
Because you get it ends up being some schmuck from the development company that they sent just to make sure that Ash doesn't kill them all.
Oh, their corporate PR guy.
Right.
Oh
exactly.
my God. Yeah, so Ash is like, holding a press conference. Ash, what are you going to do? Jason's loose. Don't worry, I'm going to kick that moron's head. Whoa, Ash, hang on. Shit like that. Oh, man, that'd be great. The David Spade.
It might be great if it is David Spade.
I was just going to say that. Cast David Spade and just be like, remember, you played, what's his name in Tommy Boy? Richard and Tommy Boy? Yes. Okay, that's who you are, but
do that again.
You're Ash's PR person. That's it. Man, 'cause you know what? Ash kind of is like Tommy from Tommy Boy, isn't he?
He's it seems like he's a little bit smarter than that, but not much.
Yeah, he's smarter. He's more resourceful, more cunning, and probably, as the series went along, kind of a badass. But he's like that Midwestern, thinks he's macho, but he's not. Like in the same vein as like Big Trouble in Little China, where Kurt Russell's character thinks he's, Jack Burton thinks he's like this hot shot, but it's really his buddy that's the tough guy, and he's just a cliche version of John Wayne. Okay, here's something that you and I kind of talked about off recording. If you're looking at Jason, some people have suggested that Jason is a deadite. Some people say he's a zombie. According to our Twitter poll, which you can still vote in until, I don't know, I put it, I think, 24 hours. So if this ends up going up tonight, maybe it won't. Right now, the options were... I just had it up. Where'd it go? Okay, the options were, what is Jason? A deadite, a zombie, a special boy. We all know Jason's a special boy. Or a restless, vengeful spirit. Most people agreed restless, vengeful spirit. 14% say zombie. 29% say a special boy. Nobody voted deadite. So that's interesting.
Well, I think you need the incantation.
Yeah, and Jason almost... I mean, regardless of what they tried to do in Jason Goes to Hell, Jason always seemed like he was his own thing, motivated by his own code. As simple and as lost as it was.
It's not a gigantic human being possessed by a Kandarian demon.
So yeah, what would be... I'm trying to think. Because that was another thing when I read the synopsis for the Freddy vs. Jason comic books. And we can talk... I don't want to talk about those until we have a chance to read them, because I don't like only reading synopsises. And then you and I have gotten into trouble with that before when we judged Get Out.
Yes.
Maybe I'll put those old episodes up now that I have space on the server. But we prejudged Get Out. Like, that's not a horror movie. That's a whatever. And then we got to start talking to.
That ended badly.
Mm-hmm. Good movie, but that's one of the things I didn't like that I read in the description of it was Freddy increased Jason's intelligence, and it's like, well, by nature, if you increase Jason's intelligence, wouldn't he kind of realize what he's doing is wrong?
In theory.
Or have you seen the Joker yet?
No.
Okay, so I won't go there. I won't use that analogy. Now, if we're talking Necronomicon, okay, I just had... okay. Whoa. Lois, this is not my Batman glass. Sorry. Got to throw Peter Griffin in every once in a while.
I thought you were going Vinny there.
Oh, no. If you have the Necronomicon and you're at Crystal Lake, what's stopping Ash from reincarnating Mama Voorhees? Now, whether for good or for bad, by mistake or purposefully, or, okay, so if you have kids, if kids are listening, time for them to check out, go to bed, tuck them in, put them to bed. Could you not imagine Ash doing disgusting things with Mrs. Voorhees' severed head? Come here, you mama's boy. Look at mama now. You know.
I can totally see that.
Or like, he's trying to taunt Jason. He picks it up, throws it in the air, and pops it with a shovel. You know, like a home run. Tigers win.
We haven't heard that in a while. Let's not talk about that.
No, we haven't. Tigers or Lions, but
let's not talk about that either.
So we kind of got how they would come together. And a couple ideas surrounding that. We've got some other fun little deals that they could do. The only thing is if they had a physical confrontation, I feel like you would need other people around to kind of deflect. Because if it's Jason versus Ash, Ash is going to get his ass kicked maybe and realize that Jason's more than he's bargained for. But Ash needs a girl.
We have Mia.
Oh, so you're thinking bring in...
They were rumored to be doing that anyway.
Yeah, but he's done. He said he's done now.
True, but that's not the point.
I know. So I guess you could. So what was Mia's deal? Was it she just like female Ash?
Kind of. She was significantly smarter. If she wasn't, she was significantly more resourceful and not as, I guess, bumbling, if you will.
Which, if you had both of them on the case, then Ash could do his fool's rush in type of thing and end up dying. Whereas she would cut a best Jason and send him back to wherever.
Yeah. Or you could always do something that happens to her early. It's almost actually what they did in whatever we're gonna call the second Evil Dead.
Evil Dead 2.
They, something happens with Ash. He's on the brink of... Or something happens to Mia earlier on in the movie. Ash is about to bite it. Ta-da! Saved. Random... I don't know.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You said she's about to bite it.
So something happens to her earlier on. He picks her up and throws her somewhere.
Who's he?
And Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant like something actually happened in Evil Dead.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, Jason grabs Mia, chucks her into oblivion for just long enough that you stop thinking about it.
Okay.
Tends to be popular in movies.
Sure.
Of this nature.
Sure.
Then they have their little scuffle. Ash is about to take a machete to the forehead. And then all of a sudden gets a crossbow bolt through his neck from Mia, who finally came back.
Gotcha.
You can always go that route as well.
You could. And the thing with the Necronomicon is you could almost go anywhere with it.
Well, it's a book, Brian. It's not that hard to pick up and take with you.
You asshole.
It's what I'm here for, folks. I'll be here all week. Try the veal.
Or in your case, Salisbury steak.
I'll tell you what, man.
It sounds like you're still kind of getting it out of your chops.
A little bit. I moved here, man. This meat market down here, brother.
Yeah, you're closer to me now. I probably would know the meat market. What meat market?
House of Meats.
Yeah, on Alexis.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. So, let's see. We've covered violating the corpse of Mrs. Voorhees. We've covered potential way to get them together. Necronomicon. He's not a deadite. Yeah, because I think we talked about it. Deadites are kind of possessed by the spirit of evil or the demons, whereas Jason is kind of his own self-contained thing, right?
Right. Well, it can always be mass confusion of, hey, we have an undead thing here killing us. Hey, I just saw a news story with you taking out undead things. Let's call you. And
in Ash Spirit, he could go one of two ways with it too. Is you could have Ash kind of resist it and try to run away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything to do with it, right?
Yeah. That went bad. I'm not doing that again. Don't make me do that.
Or he could charge to the rescue and, feel compelled to do it. Who knows? But one thing that was cool that they did, I believe, in the comics was Freddy was able to, resurrect victims as deadites because somehow he, assumes control of the Necronomicon and becomes one with it. Which, interestingly enough, that's an idea they did in Ash vs. Evil Dead, I think season 2 or 3. What's the guy's name? Ash's sidekick.
I got halfway through season 1 and life got busy.
I understand. No, you should revisit it at some point. But no, what happens
I
is
absolutely plan to.
the guy he's with, the demon chick, Lucy Lawless's character, what's her name? Anyway, puts the front page of the Necronomicon on the dude's face, and he ends up becoming one with the book. So gets a lot of its powers. Freddy did that in the comics and was able to resurrect old counselors and victims and stuff to be as deadites. But instead of going that route of resurrecting them through the book, if you have used the book to resurrect Jason, or you've released the Evil Dead spirit, then all sorts of people could become deadites. So people who've been killed, who haven't been found. Jason had his shack that I don't think they ever found after part 2. So you've got Alice. I guess maybe you're pretty limited because most of the other people have been found. But I'm trying to think.
I just had an odd thought.
Pray tell.
Being that it was used, to my knowledge, in 3 of the 4 pre-existing Evil Dead movies, do we have to have a tree scene in this?
Oh, I don't think you can get away with that today.
They got away with it in the. Well, how long ago was that?
Oh, they did? In the newer one?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, but would Ash get it this time? Would that be payback for Mrs. Voorhees?
You may have something there.
Then again, if that happens, then maybe Ash dies. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's the way Ash dies. Maybe he gets cocky and he starts kind of force fornicating the decapitated head of Mrs. Voorhees.
Now, I want to take a quick second. In your 30-some-odd years on this planet, did you ever think you were ever going to have to say that sentence for any reason whatsoever?
Fornicating the decapitated head of Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah.
I think that's a haiku. Sorry, I had to drop the Wayne's World reference. No, I never thought I would have to say it. Does it surprise
It's
me?
the kind of sentence you wait for your, like, it's the kind of sentence like Aunt Bethany from Christmas Vacation would just...
Maybe this year at Christmas, I'm just gonna sitting at the table, cutting into my turkey. I'm just going, by the way, did anyone ever give any thought to Ash Williams mouth fucking the headless, the disembodied head of Pamela Voorhees? Anyone? Anybody? No? Patsy Yams? No.
I'll just see myself out.
Lord Almighty.
Well, if you really think about it, it's how you get out of uncomfortable situations you don't want to be in. You just say something like that, and they just don't want you there anymore.
And I'll show myself out. I got to start using stuff like that more often because I find myself, the older I get, man, I'll be at a party or I'll be around people, and I'm just, like, nothing against them. They're not bad people. I find myself being like, you know what? I want to go home.
Yes, you know what? I'm getting that way myself.
Really? Speaking of wanting to go home, how does Jason do away with, or how does Ash do away with Jason? Or Mia, whatever her name is. Sorry if I don't sound too like emotionally invested in her. I have not seen the new one, so I don't mean to be dismissive. And here's another thing, if I can soapbox for a minute. There's something to be said. Like, I love the final girl trope. It works for a reason. The women are more sympathetic. It's beauty versus the beast, brains versus brawn. It's been a staple in the genre, and it's actually been a staple of fiction. The damsel in distress, needs to be rescued from the dragon. It's been a staple. It's been as long as literature has existed. However, there's something to be said about someone who can physically match up with the beast in a fight. And I really think that was lacking in a lot of the Jason movies, where the formula was Jason's up against an attractive female or a resourceful female, and there's really not a cathartic release. You know what I mean? Like, as you watch Jason kill all these people, and then you watch someone running for the last 10 minutes of the movie, and maybe they fight back in some ways, deliver a fatal blow, but there's not really that cathartic, like, release of, fuck him up. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I think, other than Tommy Jarvis, and he really, obviously, Part 5 has an imposter Jason that's been washed from the record, but he really had two films. One is a boy, where he only meets up with Jason in, like, the last 30 seconds, and the other one where he's kind of hunting Jason and sends him back to the lake. And coincidentally, Tommy Jarvis is seen more so than Ginny Field, more so than Alice, more so than Chris Higgins, more than any of those females. Even what's her name? The girl who was the psychokinetic. They call the movie Jason versus Carrie because she did psychic stuff.
Yeah,
Tina.
I forget, but I know what you're talking about.
Tina, right? Tina. Like that, I think that was the closest any of the females came to really having that all-out battle with Jason. So I think, and again, not from a sexist standpoint, but just from a physical. You and I are wrestling fans. If you have a guy, like, look at not to get too off track, but for wrestling fans, Baron Corbin is a bad guy that they're pushing right now. He laid out Becky Lynch, one of the top women's wrestlers in the world, with his finishing move in a match, and she still, like, needed The Rock to help her beat up Baron Corbin to get her just desserts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and in certain situations, I know women who could probably kick the shit out of some guys, but, like, as far as the movie, the fictional setting, the narrative, to me, that's what the franchise always lacked, and they started to get it with Tommy, and they kind of went away from it. Whereas I think Ash has a really good chance, especially with the chainsaw hand and the skills that they kind of gave to him after Evil Dead 2. I don't know. I think he could fill that role, and it could be a really good fight.
I just had an interesting thought.
Okay. Now I'm intrigued and I'm scared.
As you should be. You know, there's nothing that says that Ash, and knowing Ash as we do, it would be a total mistake. But for once, a good mistake. Well, he thinks that he's using an incantation from the book to get rid of the Deadites. But instead, he becomes the king of the Deadites, and now has a Deadite army to work on taking out Jason.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good.
Hey, I have this. I can say this and get rid of them all. Turns out he either says it wrong or reads the wrong thing, and now they all just kind of listen to him, and now Ash has a Deadite army.
Wow. So they're evil, but they listen to him. So he's and you know what he would do? He would have them like serving him, like almost in what's it called?
Coming to America?
No, the royal penis is clean, Your Highness. Is that where you're going?
No, I was just thinking they did a whole lot of stuff like that in the beginning of Coming to America.
Oh, but yeah, but okay. So that's what I'm saying is, I actually wasn't going to go sexual with it, but
neither was I.
I was going to say, Army of Darkness. He's got the girls feeding him grapes and waiting on him hand and foot. So like, and then you've got the condo developers and the sheriff and the mayor and they're all like, Ash, what are you waiting for? And he's like, it's all right. I'll just be another minute or two, you know. And they're feeding him grapes and stuff. Man, that's actually a pretty good idea. Because then it's like this really weird, like you've got probably people in the town, like dead relatives of people, like people who were being chased by Jason, but then now like the Deadite version of their grandmother pops up out of a grave. Oh man, that's so bizarre. I like it, but it's bizarre. So like, what would happen after they kill Jason?
Well, usually that's where the sequel comes from.
Oh. So man, you're on the ball. You're already thinking sequel territory.
Well, where else do you go from there, Brian?
Yeah, I don't know, because like I know New Line at the time wouldn't have allowed that to happen, and now it's owned by Victor Miller, so that's a moot point anyway. So yeah, I'm just trying to think about how you would wrap it up. Huh.
Well, because what I would suggest, because even if you don't go the sequel out, you can always cliffhanger. With the help of the Deadite army, Jason is whatever, and then our David Spade
I forgot about him.
Character. Hey, so what are we gonna do with all these zombies now? The
cheap labor. Cheap labor at the hotel.
Well, I was just thinking the zoom into the normal Ash face of I didn't think of that. Shoot, and then we just cut to credits.
Oh my god! So that, and I'm liking where you're going with that because it's very Ash. Or let's get philosophical on this for a second. Townspeople are fighting the resort, right? They've already had enough bad press. They don't want like these yuppie business people coming in and ruining their, like, as bad as it's been quiet, but they don't want these townspeople, these outside corporate people ruining what's left of their town, right? So through procrastination of Ash, Jason pretty much kills all these people in the town, which solves the issue of okay, so yeah, that's how it makes sense. You know, Jason pretty much is killing all the people in the town. Ash goes to fight him. When he raises the Deadites, it's full of like Deadite versions of the citizens that Jason killed, the remaining people of the town. And then at the end of it, poetically, kind of a take on corporate greed in America, David Spade character suggests, these people wanted us to give back to the town, but they're dead. So we can put them to work, but we don't have to pay them. So not only do they get their resort and do they get Jason, banished for now, but also the townsfolk that had died that had been, resurrected as deadites are now like wait staff at the hotel.
That's wonderful.
So grounds crew, towel boy, pushing carts, you know what I mean?
Almost like the end of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, that's too derivative. We can't end on a derivative note.
Well, that's why I said almost.
Plus, that doesn't work anyway because the deadites are still evil and they'd probably be killing people that come stay at the hotel.
Also true.
Or we could just do the easy out. Ash turns Crystal Lake through the incantation into like a portal, and it sucks the entire town through the portal, and all is good.
Yes.
We live to fight another day. Man, I don't know. Because you could also go the route of like the lake itself. Like Jason drowned in the lake, but he didn't drown and he came back, and like there's all this weird wonky shit going on. You could even go the route of like the lake itself being almost like the Overlook in The Shining.
The book of the movie.
The movie, like the hotel is almost like this conduit for evil, almost like the lake is.
I was just saying that the book has more of an emphasis on the hotel being almost like its own character than the movie does.
Right. Okay, so with the Necronomicon, is everything in there demonic?
As far as we know.
Because, like, is there anything that really... Hang on, my fan on my computer is going crazy for some reason. Yeah, I hope I don't have a virus or something. Because it's done it twice now today. Where my CPU goes way up. But I've got Audacity running, I've got Skype, and that's it. Yeah, now it's going down. It's probably doing updates, so sorry. But yeah, is everything demonic, or is it... Because if you think about the forces of good versus evil, there's got to be more fighting against the Deadites, or in this case, Jason, than just Ash.
True.
So you could, like... You could bless the lake... And again, that's kind of derivative. That's like dogma. But if you bless the lake and then return Jason to it, will it like neutralize the evil?
Oh, that's true.
I don't know. But a very interesting concept. I think, again, we've hit on some really cool shit. I like your undead army of darkness that Ash is in command of. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of a David Spade character.
That one too. That was probably the strongest. That's probably the strongest point of the whole discussion. Fuck. And that's the best part too. Is like he doesn't have to play anybody else other than Richard from Tommy Boy. Shut up.
Except
Richard.
a little nicer.
A little nicer. Yeah, so what happens to him? Does he live?
I feel like what would almost be entertaining is if he lives through the entire Jason thing and then Ash gets annoyed and just shoots him in the head.
Ooh.
At the end.
That'd be funny.
He just complains about the way Campbell does things one too many times and just... I made it. Who's gonna clean this all this up? Boom.
Ash, why'd you do that? He was turning. No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. I know these things. I'm a demon slayer.
And you just you fade out to them walking away.
Oh, well, you know what?
Are you absolutely sure he was turning? No, he was turning. I guarantee it.
That's the setup for the next movie. The David Spade character comes back from the dead to seek his vengeance on Ash. Oh my God, David Spade versus Ash. That's fantastic.
Nowhere else, folks, are you going to get these kinds of ideas.
Oh my God, that may be a good thing.
It absolutely is.
Oh man. All right, so we got David Spade versus Ash. We got Ash versus Jason. Necronomicon, an army of Crystal Lake townspeople. We have Ash doing Ash things. And you can even do like, maybe Ash is going to leave, and then Jason throws like an axe at him, and it like ruins the. What kind of car does he drive? Not an Oldsmobile.
Oh, what is the?
Oh man, I sent you one. There was someone on Facebook Marketplace was selling one.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh man, I got to figure this out before we go. Shit. The Delta? The Delta, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ash is about to leave, like, he sees Jason just mauling people, ripping their heads off, and he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here, I'm going home. Gets in the car, Jason throws the axe, cracks the engine block, or, like, destroys the axle, something, and Ash is pissed because he broke his car.
Yeah?
Sounds like an Ash thing to do.
Trying to in the quick before you found it, I missed Ash's middle name being Joanna.
Joanna? I thought it was something else.
The Ash vs. Evil Dead episode Unfinished Business also reveals that his middle name is Joanna.
I knew it was something funny. I thought it was something different. Joanna, okay. Ashley Joanna Williams.
Yeah.
And who's his dad? Or the actor? I'm trying to remember what else he played. Was he the $6 Million Man? Lee Majors?
Was it?
Yeah, did you get that far?
No.
Oh, yeah. Season 2, man. You got to hit up. Season 3's all right. Season 2, There's definitely some good stuff there. Yeah, his dad is played by Lee Majors, a $6 Million Man.
I love Lee Majors.
But it's funny as shit, too. You got to check it out. Anyway, so everyone, go enjoy Fear Fest. Go stream Ash vs. Evil Dead wherever you can find it, and your old Evil Dead films. You can follow us on Instagram at bshowbrian and at benny/777. You can follow us on Twitter at bshowbrian and at benny_/. Stay tuned to bshowpodcast.com for more episodes, and thank you for staying with us. My man Drew Yari, we talked earlier about doing some crossover stuff, so again, if you like horror, you like what ifs, you like people just throwing ideas around and having fun, that's what we want to do, is just have fun with this stuff. So anything else on before we settle the score on Ash versus Jason?
I think I'm good.
All right, man. You good with releasing this episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. We had some wrinkles we had to iron out, but I think we did a good job.
Yeah, we got it.
All right. Well, stay tuned. Next week, I don't know what we're going to bring you, but it's going to be the Halloween week edition, probably something Halloween related. Got some ideas in the works, but my name is Brian J.
Betty Slash.
This is Horror Reanimated.